Hi, everybody. I'm Jason.
I'm Caden.
I'm Jaden.
I'm Eli.
And we are the YHWH and the Torah channel, and we thank you guys very, very much for hanging out with us. We are reading some very interesting scriptures and some very interesting stuff right now. And I noticed a comment on one of the channels this morning, and some feller named Kefa said, why do you treat these scriptures, why do you treat these readings as inspired? And well, I mean, here,
what does that mean, first of all?
So first of all, people are like, well, the only inspired text, this is what people say, the only inspired text you'll ever have is the King James Version Bible. The 66-book version that the Freemason King James put together is the only Bible, only in translation. There's nothing any better. That's the only inspired text. If you're talking about Jasher or Jubilees or anything else, that's not inspired and yada, yada, yada. That's what they say. So when we are talking about the words of Messiah Yahushua, in fact, wasn't it John who told us that if we had everything recorded of Messiah Yahushua,
there wouldn't be enough books.
Yeah, there wouldn't be enough books out there. And so the one thing that we do not have is we do not have a tremendous amount of speaking of our Messiah. We have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and in it we have very, very few things that he said. We didn't learn the heart, mind, and soul completely of our Messiah. We learned a little bit about it. We did not understand exactly why he does what he does. We didn't understand any of this. And so if you're looking for inspired texts, you have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. If something goes against the Torah, then it wouldn't be an inspired text. If something is exactly with the Torah and it sounds like the Torah, and in fact it's the Torah made flesh, we should all listen up. And so these were amazing teachings. And if you guys haven't heard anything else in this teaching or in this lesson that we're doing, listen to yesterday's. Yesterday's was amazing. And let's get into today's. So this is 4b section. About this time, Yahushua came upon two disciples arguing as to which of his teachings should be retained in their hearts. Okay, I'm going to do this one. We did this one yesterday, but I'm going to start with this. Yahushua said, your argument can be likened to two wives, one old and one young. The old one pulling out the dark hairs on her husband's head, while the young one kept pulling out the white hairs. So he became bald, having no hair at all. Then both women said, behold, we have a bald-headed husband. Kate, what was your explanation on that from us yesterday?
I'd say you cannot pick and choose what you want to pertain to your heart, right? You cannot pick and choose what is good for you, what is not, or you're going to have nothing.
Yeah, you'll be bald. Okay, 26. One day a disciple who had been to buy provisions returned, saying, I took down a diligently prepared book of sayings, delightful to the ear, but men took it from me and tore it apart. Surely the wrath of Yahuwah will strike them. Hearing this, Yahushua called the man to him and said, a girl once diligently collected colorful seeds and threaded them into a necklace. But when she put them on, a youth came along and pulled it, scattering the carefully gathered seeds. She ran to her father, expecting him to chase the youth and chastise him. But the father did nothing. Later that evening, he gave her a beautiful necklace of rare gems which he had bought earlier, intending to surprise her. Then she knew why he had not bothered with the youth or had been concerned about the necklace of seeds. All right, this is an amazing little parable, right? This is like something a lot of us can, we just lost it, or we lost everything we had, or we don't understand why the situation is that the situation is. But we have to understand that we have a heavenly Father that may have a necklace of gems waiting for us in the next day, right? Or at the end of the day. This little girl had no idea, her heart was broken. And if you guys ever, for anyone out there, if you had a little girl and her prized possession is her little necklace thing where she's put it together and made it all pretty and all this other stuff, and this little renegade youth came by, grabbed it, pulled it off her neck, and the seeds just went everywhere. She's going to cry, right? The little girl is going to cry, and she's going to cry, and she's going to cry, and she's going to go to her dad, and she's going to expect her dad to take out his little thumping stick and go take care of this little kid that did this. And to her surprise, he didn't do that. And so she was probably a little bit hurt about that, but then it didn't make any sense up until he gave her this necklace. And so this is one of these amazing, this is absolutely doctrine. This is absolutely stuff that we need to understand. This is about patience, right? This is about understanding the world. 28. Yahushua said to those about him, many things befall you, and life is difficult, but so life is meant to be. Only timber well seasoned is fit for the carver's hand. A carpenter once sent his two sons to the forest to cut timber, and they came upon a mighty tree, one without branches, going straight up, with sound, well-grained wood. One son said, this tree is too big, the task of cutting it too difficult. Let us find another which is easier to deal with. The other said, "No, let us take only the best." But the first one goes further into the forest and comes upon a tree partly rotten and soft. Now he with the rotten timber returns first, while the other comes 2 days later. If the carpenter be wise, he rejects the timber brought in first and chastises his son, rewarding the other when he returns. But if the carpenter be pleased with the first son's early return, accepting the timber and building it, placing it as a beam support, so the upright post breaks and the beam falls, killing a man, how shall the blame be apportioned? The easy way is rarely the best. Now, we have a little bit of experience in failing trees and doing this kind of stuff. And what do we get into with trees? Trouble.
Yeah.
Besides trouble, well, a lot of it
ones
is
that don't come down.
ones that don't come down. You have to understand. You have to be good at failing trees to make this happen, and it's not something that a bunch of yuppies with a chainsaw out in the middle are able to figure out. Although, that be it, we did take out most of the trees we were after. There was only a couple trees that bested us. And you remember the big one? Remember the one huge one down there that we could never, ever get to fall? We cut out like 3/4 of the bottom of it, and it still wouldn't. We could not get that thing to tip over, and it was a massive tree. And so what this story is about, this particular one, is if you have just trash wood, that's the thing. And the question is, how shall the blame be apportioned? So if the carpenter, whose fault is that? If somebody if somebody goes the easy way, brings rotten trees back, you build the house, the guy's in it for 4 or 5 years, the tree falls on an entire family and kills them all. Who's at fault for that? Is it the kid? Is it the carpenter?
The guy who built the house.
The carpenter?
Yeah.
Or the kid?
The guy who built the house, the guy who accepted the wood.
Yeah, the guy that accepted the wood. That would be the guy that did that, right? And so the thing that Messiah says that we all need to understand is he says the easy way is rarely the best, right? And that's everything in life, right? That is not just for this. There are a tremendous ways that look very, very easy. The old shortcut, right? And the old shortcut, sometimes you end up in the middle of a field and you can't figure out where you're at. And that shortcut became something far, far worse. Okay, 31. YHWH said, "Fear not the hostility of men, nor the wiles of the world. Rise above your conditions. Be like the water lily, which rises out of the mud, up through the murky waters, into the sunlight above. Strive always to rise above your circumstances, for in striving you gain strength. The man whose path through life has been easy is never as good as one whose path has been difficult. Life has two purposes only, to test and teach, and for that, earth is perfect." Wow. We are learning stuff that we have never, ever, ever learned about our Creator, about His Son, about why we are here, the reasons that we are here, and it's very, very clear. Life has two purposes only, to test and to teach, right? And so the testing part of, if Messiah says that life is about two things, teaching and testing, will we fall short with the testing? And are we learning what we are supposed to be taught, right? And so when he says earth is perfect, that is amazing because, who knows where the rest of our Creator and His Son live? Where is it? What does it look like? But all we know of is this beautiful existence that we have right here that our Creator has built as a beautiful domain. And so we're here for a reason. And if you think that you're going to walk through life without difficulties, Messiah says that's not even that. So we're here to test and to teach and to be taught. And that's exactly what, these are amazing words. 32. Regard each other as brothers, cherishing in sickness and supporting in trouble. Never praise yourself. And if you have virtues, let others discover them. Be careful with whom you associate. For if a man enters a tannery, though he carry nothing away, a bad smell will accompany him. All right. This is, every single verse is things that we should understand, that we should write upon our heart, mind, and soul. This tells us a little bit about loving each other, right? Regard each other as brothers. And that's not just for us in this table here. It is for everybody that is out there. Everybody you walk by is your brother or your sister, right? They are all creations of our Creator. And they all have a soul. And most people are pointed in the wrong direction for keeping their soul alive. And so this is why we want to love our brothers and love our sisters and things of this nature. Now, very much, we've had this before. Where have you guys, where have we gone places and we come out and we smell like that place? I remember...
trash dump?
Well, trash dump. Yeah, trash dump is one thing.
My sister's butcher shop.
Yeah, that's right. Nicole's sister had a butcher shop back in the day, and every time they came from that place, they reeked like death, like the smell of death. When we cut up a cow, we smell like the cow. Things of that nature, right? And so this is a lot about life. If you get into it with friends, if you have so-called friends and these friends are evil, you're going to walk away smelling bad. You are who you associate with. And Messiah says be careful about all of this. 33. No man is so important that he is above the need to work. If it becomes necessary to dress hides in the marketplace, then undertake it with a cheerful heart. Even the rich must do something, for idleness is the rust of time. Wow, absolutely huge. And the guy that, I questioned the guy that asked me, why is this inspired? Why do you consider this inspired text? Where do you hear things like this, right? This essentially says that if you're a lazy man, you're not going to make it. Everybody needs to work, right? Are you with me on all this, Eli?
Yep.
Jade, Cade, yep. Everyone? No man is so important that he is above the need to work, right? Nobody. If it becomes necessary to dress hides in the marketplace, then undertake it with a cheerful heart. That says everything that you guys do, you need to do it with a cheerful heart. That is the words of our Messiah. If you guys go out and you're upset about everything that you're doing, or you don't like what you're going to do in the course of the day, or somebody makes you angry, and you understand, you have to understand that what Messiah just said here is that if you're out there having to cut the skins off the animals, you need to do it. You don't need to be sitting on your couch. You don't need to be lazy. The very first commandment that we have is to be fruitful, right? And this is a commandment right here of essentially the same thing. If you're being idle, and it says even the rich must do something, for idleness is the rust of time. And yeah, that is the one thing that I've talked to my kids about over and over and over. Time is the one thing you can never, ever get back. When you waste it, you've lost it. You will never, ever retrieve this. And if you sit and waste time consistently, then you have hampered your life. You have really messed your life up. 34. Judge no man otherwise than you would wish to be judged. Once a young woman was carried off and placed in a whorehouse in another country. Her father sent 2 men to ransom her, and when they came to the whorehouse, one remained outside while the other went in. When who went in came out, he said to the other, "What do you think I was doing in there?" The other replied, "Why, negotiating the woman's ransom." Even so should you judge with the scales weighed down favorably. So why do you think the guy asked him that?
He could be doing some terrible things.
Well, yeah, he went into a whorehouse, right? And so it was an interesting question, how the guy was able to see it. Your first thing would be, both of them went down there for a ransom. So this is an interesting question. But some people at a whorehouse might just do something worse than that. So, okay, 35. YHWH taught his disciples thus: all things a man possesses, his talents and his skills and gifts bestowed by the grace of Yahuwah. The inheritance received by anyone should be regarded as something received in trust. And it is true that if they deal with it wrongfully or selfishly, payment will be required. Listen to this up, guys. One of the greatest of life's tests is the challenge of wealth or position, and few are those who successfully meet it. Therefore, do not envy those with wealth and position unless they deal with them wisely. Otherwise, pity them, for they have failed to rise above their test. Okay, what does this mean, guys? What is he saying with this? So did you listen at all? You're not listening?
It's like somebody screaming outside.
Somebody screaming outside? Okay, pay attention, please.
Yeah, so everything you get is from Yahuwah. Basically, all gifts you do, everything you can do is from Yahuwah. You talked about an inheritance. If you get an inheritance, you basically that person trusted you to with their possessions, and then you basically need to deal rightly. If you deal wrongly with it, you're going to be judged.
Yeah, and everything, if you can stand on one foot and hold your hands up and balance on one foot, that is a gift from our Creator. If you can open your eyes and you can able to see everything around you, that is a gift. If you have one eye left and you can open your eye and you can still see, that is a gift from our Creator. Even if you have no eyes, now we're down to hearing, and that is a gift from our Creator. Every last thing, every last breath that you breathe, when you breathe in, That was a gift right there. That was a gift from our Creator, right? Every last breath. Because what happens if we don't have air?
We die.
We're dead. We're all dead. And so we have to be careful. And this is one of these things. Yeah, wealth is a big thing. It is a soul killer for most. 36. A wayfarer once came to an inn and finding no one there, went into the eating hall, where he found a table set with all the good things, many kinds of food and drink. So he sat down and helped himself, thinking, no one else is here. So all this must be mine. And if mine, I can do with it as I please. However, when the innkeeper returned from where he had been, the wayfarer could not escape the accounting. It seems simple enough, right?
Yeah.
Don't go taking stuff that's not yours, right? You work for what you got. 37. The rich are responsible for providing the needs of the poor, whether by work or food. This, above all, is the prime responsibility of wealth. And if a rich man says this he cannot do, then his riches witness against him. For if a poor man has a loaf of bread, he will share it with he who has none. And a beggar at the door of a poor man receives better treatment than he does at the doors of the rich. Yet the rich have the most to give, and this is the sin of the wealthy. Wow, absolutely inspired text, right? I mean, this is things that nobody wants to hear, right? This is the thing that the rich people, and you talk to any rich person, and they're like, oh no, I give everything they have. But that it's very crazy that Messiah says the rich are responsible for providing the needs of the poor, whether by work or by food. If you have money, you have a responsibility to take care of those who cannot. And I guess you could use excuses of what they said. Well, if we start taking care of all the poor, then us ourselves will become poor, right? And that was the excuse they had. But you know what? Our Creator will give you what you need. He will also take away what you do not, especially if you do not use it responsibly. 38. Riches of themselves are not sinful. It is what they make of men that brings them into ill repute. If they were properly regarded as something permitting the possessor to study the books of wisdom and to redress the wrongs of the poor, then they would serve a good end. Let the rich ask themselves with sincerity, am I not wealthy because of my lack of charity and the exploitation of others? Is it not because I love myself more than my neighbors? Sorry, guys. All right, sorry, guys. I had to pause it there for a couple dogs. Hopefully they don't get out of control. It is dangerous to be near a man without wisdom. He is like a tree with many fine branches, but few roots. The winds of adversity blow, and he is uprooted. Choose your friends with great care, measuring them against the words of wisdom. The man who is himself a good friend will never lack friends, but those who think they have many friends have none. The loneliest person is one living for himself alone, but it is better to be lonely than to be in bad company. Wow, there's so much to get from this. Anyone?
So I guess it starts with the unwise man. He's kind of like a really tall tree, but he has no base. So and the wind blows, he falls over. So when he gets tested, something happens, he has no support. So he falls over. And talks about your friends. It talks about someone. If you're a good friend, you'll have a lot of friends, but you need to have friends and wisdom. And if all you have is bad company, it's better to have no friends at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It is better to have 0 friends than to have evil friends and to be amongst robbers and things of that nature. 40. YHWH said, it is not unseemly to glory in your strength, but never become vain. For in strength you are not superior to the beasts. If the standard is to be the ability to bear a heavy burden, a donkey can carry more than any of you. An elephant is mightier than a score of men, while a camel has more stamina than any man. Strength and stamina are goodly things, seen in their right perspective, but they can be a heavy handicap on the path of spiritual development, particularly if they lead to arrogance and inconsideration for others. Strength, like riches and knowledge, is a goodly thing of itself if properly utilized. But for most, the test is too great. This is huge, right? You get these guys, and you'll see the muscle guys, right? The strength guys, and all they do is they sit there and they're just huge and they bulk up, and it's like that's outwardly appearance of strength, right? Because when you look at this based upon, do you have the Torah? Do you know anything? You look at these huge strapping guys, and they're weak. They're completely weak. And I did not know a camel had more stamina than any man.
I mean, I guess they walk a long time.
They do walk a long time. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't want to race myself against a camel at that point after
You
hearing what
wouldn't want to
Messiah
carry
said.
like all everyone's baggage in like a
maybe
group of humans. On
maybe
your
if it's like a
back.
race, like a 1 mile race, you might be able to beat the camel. But you have to go a long distance. You ain't beating the camel.
Something about the camels, they're built for success.
Well, like
or
they
something.
can carry like several people and your luggage and all your baggage and stuff.
Yeah.
And they go forever.
Absolutely. Okay, 41. Some disciples came to Yahushua and asked whether they should not withdraw into the wilderness, where they would dedicate their lives to Yahuwah. Yahushua said, "Of what use would my teachings be to the wilderness? Are you going to save rocks from sins or convert camels? Will you enlighten the wind or give wisdom to mirages? Where's the benefit if what you learn cannot be put into practice? Learning and good conduct must go hand in hand, and the greatest wisdom is that which teaches men to live in harmony. They who seek to escape the tests and trials of life are cowards. Are you going to withdraw from the conflict through lack of courage, standing silently by while the wicked swallow up the good?" Wow, this is
I think
hard.
we already went over this.
This is hard. These are hard things to hear.
And the rocks can save you and convert.
Yeah, no, he's talking about it. Somebody says, well, should we go in the wilderness? Should we go out there and should we become holy? And what good does that do, right? Are you going to convert the brush and the sagebrush? What are you going to do?
Going to repent.
Right, and you're looking for men, and we're told to fish for men, and that is why we are here, and that is why we're told to call people for the kingdom, so everybody can be fishers of Yah. Okay, the disciple said, "Master, are you bringing strife or peace? Do you prepare us for battle? Are we to rally the people?" Yahushua said, "Do you still not understand? I am a man of peace, and I unsheath only the sword of the Ruach." Hold on, guys. Okay, now let's continue on. Sorry, guys, about this. So the question was,
Is he a man of peace or a man of war?
man of war? And he says right here, he unsheaths only the sword of the Ruach, which is, that's crazy. That's hardcore. But then he says, cowards talk about peace and brave men about war. But I tell you that when brave men talk peace and cowards are sent to war, there will be no more strife and a new age will dawn. Did I read this? I think I missed it.
I don't think you read this. I think that
Okay, let's go up to the middle here.
You made it the sword of the Ruach.
Okay, but let only those who would use weapons with courage talk about soft words and peace. Otherwise, better men will justifiably scorn them as cowards. Cowards talk about peace and brave men about war. But I tell you that when brave men talk peace and cowards are sent to war, there will be no more strife and a new day will dawn. That's very interesting, right? When brave men talk peace and cowards are sent to war, there will be no more strife and a new day will dawn. That would be the amazing day when there's no more war. 45. A disciple named Makjek said to Yahushua, "Master, teach us how to love one another without malice or envy, with goodwill and forbearance." Yahushua said, "The first step is to love yourself less, and by doing this, you will find more love to give. If any say, 'I like being loved,' that person is wrong, for rather you should say, 'I like loving.' Do not seek to take love, but to give it. For I have not said it is better to give than to receive." Question for you boys. Do you guys give more love here, or do you give more aggression?
Yeah, more fighting, more aggression.
There's no love. What about the love? So Messiah says it right here. This is for all of us. I mean, if we're going to walk away from anything that we could take for ourselves, Messiah says the first step is to love yourself less, and by doing so, you will find more love to give. So maybe we need to look less in the mirror, and we need to start loving people and actually look in the mirror and see what we have and what we become, and then go out there and love everybody like Messiah says to love. I'm learning a ton from this book, tons. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to change as individuals and myself as individuals by reading this. 47. Another disciple who had believed in bodily resurrection said, "Master, what proof can be given that there is life beyond the grave?" Yahushua answered, "There is proof to those worthy of it. But if it were a manifest certainty as a reward for a good life, how would the hypocrites and those who would do nothing without payment be discovered? If uncertainty and doubt were removed from life, then it would be of less value for its purpose. Things are as they are, because so they must be. If you want proof, become worthy of it. You will not be denied of it." Sorry, guys. Guys, I'm terribly sorry about this. So let's continue on here. I don't mean to be ruining this thing, and our dogs don't mean to be. Will you please spank that dog over there? Spank the dog. Okay. That's it. Okay, let's continue on. Things are as they are because so they must be. If you want proof, become worthy of it. You will not be denied it even here, but you must seek diligently. Nothing comes easily, and this least of all. And so the dogs are just going to get beat until this one's done, I think. Okay, so what we're talking about right here is, Eli, take him outside, please. What we are talking about right here is what, boys?
We're talking about resurrection, where the proof of resurrection is.
Yes. Okay, and here goes the dogs outside. Go with them, Eli. Go, Eli. Okay, sorry, everyone. This is just our house. It's totally whacked. The dogs are probably going to
So basically, YHWH said you have to be diligent. You have to look for this. If you want to see the proof, you have to look for it because it's not given easily to those who just like there. It's like people who don't believe aren't going to see there's resurrection.
Yeah, and you know what? There's been a lot of, we have a lot of stories in scriptures where people have seen the other side. We have Enoch, we have John, we have Daniel has seen the other side. Daniel saw the other side. Things of that nature. And so it is possible to see the other side. And a lot of people are like, well, let's show me the proof. Show me the proof of a resurrection. How about this? How about we show you guys the proof of creation, right? Look around you. Look outside. Look at the mountains. Look at the clouds. Look at the trees and everything that has been designed in a magnificent manner. And that is the creation. And if there's a creation and our Creator has told us there's a resurrection for those who are in the laws, statutes, and commandments of Him, that keep them and that keep the faith of Messiah Yahushua, then that's where we must have faith, right? He gave us everything around us that we can physically see. We don't need that final proof of what's going to happen at the end. We know that if we follow Him, that good things will happen. Okay, 49. Before they departed from that place, a disciple said to Yahushua, Master, now that we are to take up our burdens, tell us how to avoid wrongdoing. Yahushua said, Were you able to avoid all wrongdoings and sin? Such is the known frailty of men that I fear you would fall into another one, that of false pride. Look at the falsely pious ones who glory in their righteousness, and that is not the least of sins. Having taught in this manner and said these things and many other things, Yahushua departed from that place on the mountainside and went down to carry the tidings concerning the coming rule of Elohim to the people. All right, boys, that was amazing. Do you guys think this is inspired works?
Yes.
Have you guys ever heard anyone speak like this before?
No.
Have you ever, in any books or any stories or anything of the sort, have you ever?
Usually we don't have him teaching his disciples. This is mostly so far to teach disciples. We usually don't get that. Usually teaching crowds or people or like duking out the Pharisees, but this time it's teaching his disciples.
Yeah, and I mean, does this, as anything here, like, contrary to anything we've ever read?
No, so far, no.
No, in fact, it is right along with it. And in fact, it is amazing, and I hope that people are getting something out of this. We thank you guys very, very much for hanging out with us. We're very, very sorry about the disturbance of the dogs. We wouldn't be able to lay these down at all if we didn't have these kind of disruptions. So my apologies to all of you guys out there, and we love you guys very much. Have a wonderful day.
All right, shalom.